So today I'm going to be doing a video devlog for Boogie Bashers. We're going to go over a brief evolution of Boogie Bashers multiplayer user experience. So I had the opportunity to take the game to Youmacon, a big anime convention, back in 2023. And the good was that people had fun. It was really great seeing people play the game with their friends, smiling and laughing the whole time. The not so good is that the menu kinda sucked. So we're going to talk about the evolution of this menu. So how did we get here? The first step in getting to this point was something I call piggybacking. I built this on top of Photon, and Photon had a demo menu that was perfectly fine to just add stuff on top of. And by doing this, it allowed me to get a playable demo in people's hands a lot faster. From there, the features of the game expanded, and so did the menu's needs. The game really outgrew the menu the moment that I started to add character and dance selection. And then from there, it was just a matter of bigger priorities. Supporting both online and offline means a lot of bugs. It's like having two separate games that you have to maintain. And unfortunately, there was just always something more important in gameplay. So, long story short, we got here by going fast, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. So, this is an example of what the game's menu used to look like. You can see here there's a player selecting a character and then selecting a dance, and then they have to press ready. And then after that, whoever the first player is, they have to know who they were. They would have to click the start game button. They were the only person that could do it. And so this is a little bit clunky. And so this is what it looks like, what the workflow looks like on Friday when I first got to the convention. So you had to press start to join the game. You use left and right to highlight either character, dance, or ready. Then you press A. If you want to pick character, you press A on the character to enter the character selection mode. Then use left and right to cycle through the characters. Press A to lock in. And then you would have to use right to go to dance and press A to enter dance selection. Then use left and right to cycle through dances. Press A to lock in your dance. And finally, you use right again to highlight ready. Press A. Then you have to wait for all the other players to ready up. And then only player one, this is bolded, only player one can navigate down to the start game button and press A. So this is a whole 14 steps just to get into the game. And one of these steps is abridged by it being other players. So I had a bunch of time to watch people play the game on Friday and see how they were navigating the menu, see what they were getting confused on. And I was coming back on Saturday, and so I'm like, is there anything I can do in one day to make this easier for people? And I did find one thing, which was you can see at the bottom here, instead of player one being the only person that can start the game, there's just a pop up. So the moment that every player is ready, there's a pop up that says press start, and anybody can press start to begin the game. And this is what that looked like on Saturday. And so once I added this, it made it a whole lot easier for people to get through that last step of starting the game. That was actually the majority of what people were confused about, but there's still opportunity to make this better. So a little while back, I actually did have some training on user experience. And one of the things that I thought of right away is to draw on some of the Gestalt principles. So these are just like good general rules of thumb for like visual patterns that people expect and how they interpret those patterns. So this is one example of the common region principle where things that are grouped together in like a common region are seen as being related to each other. And so here, even though we've got yellow and purple dots, the dots on the left side are considered to be related because they have a common boundary. And the same thing with the dots on the right side. And so if you can just visualize this for a moment, one thing I could have done is to have a boundary, like a border around the character selection and a border around dance selection, and to have ready be it in its own region. But we can take this a step further. So this is a new workflow that would have been a whole lot better without too much code changes. So if we look back here, one of the core issues is that first you have to, before you can pick a character or a dance, you have to like select that box to let the game know that you want to pick either a character or a dance. So one of the things that makes this a bit unwieldy is that you use left and right to change between character selection and dance selection. And you also use left and right to actually change which thing you have selected. One of the easiest ways to improve that is to stop overloading the left and right buttons. So this is an example of what character and dance selection could have looked like in the Youmacon build. So first you pick a character using left and right, and then instead of pressing A and then navigating left and right again to move to dance selection, you just move down, right? Just simple up and down to change between characters and dances. And then left and right is your selection. And then when you're all done, you press A to ready. And so that's a much cleaner workflow. So I did have that idea, even at Youmacon, but I thought, why not look at some other good multiplayer menu examples? And Smash Bros. Is probably one of the best examples of that. So this is what character selection looks like in Smash Bros. You basically have this grid of characters that you can pick between. And then after you pick a character, you're given more options like selecting different colors. And so this introduces the concept of progressive disclosure. Progressive disclosure is basically just not presenting all the info at once. It's something where you use a sequential workflow in order to display one selection at a time. And that makes it significantly easier for a person to process the choices they have available because they generally only have one choice at a time. So here's what a Smash Bros. Inspired workflow could look like for Boogie Bashers. Right, a player presses start to join the game, and they can use any direction to highlight their desired character. Then they press A to lock in their character, which opens the dance selection automatically. Then they use left and right to cycle through dances. They press A to lock in their dance, which readies the player automatically. And then once all players are ready, a press start pop-up appears, and any player can press start to begin the game. Do you remember the original workflow? Yeah, this had a whole 14 steps. Whereas this new workflow has half as many steps and achieves the exact same thing. Smashing! So some lessons learned in this whole process. One is don't be afraid to let your menu be subpar for a little while. As much as I hated this, I was aware of the menu having issues for a long time. But really the worst case is you can just start the game for your players while you prioritize other things. And this was the first time that I just let that be an issue for a long time, which really did allow me to get the game in people's hands faster and to get some other key features fleshed out. Another lesson is to let any player start or exit the game. It really didn't make any sense that only player one could start the game, and that was just like an oversight. Right, that eliminates the need to know who's in control. It doesn't matter who's in control if anyone can start the game. And then finally, adapting a sequential workflow can significantly reduce even the need to navigate within your menus. So here's a screenshot of the scene that I've been working on for the next stage of the game, and this is kind of like a disco. The left side here has actually no scene lighting. The only thing that's lighting this is emissive lighting from the materials themselves. And this is closer to what I want the scene to look like in the end, but just with a little bit more light. And then on the right side, I've added a directional light just so that you can see things a little bit better. And that's the end of my slideshow. So if you have any questions or comments, please just let me know in the comment section. I'll be putting all of these links in the description below. And before I sign off, I'm going to show you what the changes look like in the game. So before I go any further, yes, I know the menu is still ugly. The actual visual overhaul of the menu is coming soon. But I still decided to improve the workflow so that people accessing the game for the Game Developer World Championship wouldn't have a hard time getting a game started. So here we can join a random room, which puts me straight into the game. I'm already selecting my character, and then when I lock in the character, it opens up dance selection. I can do the same with another controller. And then you're automatically ready when you get through all that. When both players are ready, you can start the game.